back, folks. It is the Voice of Onewheel back at you for another episode. And boy, is it good to be here. Thank you for joining us on Thursday, January 23rd. It is noon Eastern, and we are here to absolutely freaking party with you. I am your host, Luch. You can hang out with me every single Thursday at noon, and I am joined by my executive producer. He's so ready to hang out with all of you, ladies and gentlemen, Mark Gryz. What's up, dude?
How's it going, everybody? This is Oak City Grizz, hospitality director of Oak City Shredfest, helping bring back the Voice of Onewheel.
Dude, I'm so glad you're here. We're gonna have some fun, man. I don't know. We've been basically getting to know each other over the last 3 days or so, and I love your story. I'm gonna tell you about mine, and I want to hear all about yours. And then we've got a guest co-host, Bart Miller, Christy Miller, and maybe even Zoe will be here if we can see. It's snowing, so maybe she's off of school. I hope we can get her too. And then we've also got Gary Peters will join us here in a little bit to talk about the most expensive one wheel you could possibly buy. But why would we be discussing that? I always wanted to. What's that?
Why would we?
Well, because I always wanted to fly, sir. I always wanted to fly. And it's something that I never was able to achieve because I'm too afraid to bungee jump. I'm too afraid to jump out of a plane. Have you ever gone like skydiving, Mark? What's your deal?
No, I've always wanted to.
So you
I've
have
also just watched a documentary on wingsuits.
That's the other one. I'm terrified to put the squirrel suit on, right? It's crazy.
Wow.
So here's the deal. I've had this thing where I'm dreaming, and whenever you have happy dreams and you have sad dreams, you have weird dreams, you have fun dreams. But I can tell you right now, my happiest dreams are when I am snowboarding and I get air on a jump that I would never hit in real life. Never. No chance.
Wow. It's so funny you say that. Inversely, one of my nightmares is that I'm in a one-wheel group ride and then in the tail or something, and then all my friends hit this jump, but they like stick to the jump and go down, and I fly off, and then I'm just like aimlessly flying.
It's my favorite part of any dream, and I try, those dreams where you don't want to wake up. That's what happens to me, and I was doing it last night. I was basically flying off of these jumps. And I don't ever get that in real life until I found a one wheel and I finally had that sense of freedom that I don't think anybody else understands is basically like having a jetpack on you. It's like snowboarding with a jetpack on, and people don't get it. So when you come onto this show every Thursday at noon, you say, what am I going to get? You're going to get the absolute level of stoke from a guy who's living out his dreams thanks to one product and one product alone that started all of this, and it's the one wheel. I love this thing, Mark.
Yeah, man. Me too. I mean, I have just dove headfirst as soon as I got my legs under me. I've just pretty much made my life revolve around it. I love it.
So we have a guest that I want to get to, and we're going to do that in just a moment. But before we do that, I'm going to tease something because you and I were talking about the freedom of a one wheel, and we'll talk about this at the end of the show. Not right now because I know we have a little bit of under 16 audience here for a minute. But Mark, you and I were talking about something that was a way that we unlocked a certain level of freedom on our boards, and we'll get into that at the end. That I think every and anybody should try because it was a new level of freedom that I can't talk about under 18. So we'll do that at the end, but let's get straight to him. He's from Florida. It's snowing there. Bart Miller, are you going for a ride today in the snow? Are you going to be okay, dude?
Yeah, I am actually. I'm going to try it out. I always thought it was stupid, and I really honestly, it is kind of like riding in the water. But Henry Dancer's in town, so I'm going to grab two of my boards, and we're going to go out, and we're going to rip in the snow a little bit. You want to go?
Sure.
Yeah.
Zoe, is this your first ever snow day off in Florida?
Yeah, it's insane. It hasn't really snowed since 2018. I haven't seen
No.
No.
It hasn't snowed here since 1989, and it didn't even accumulate. It has been since 1950 something.
Oh my!
Wow.
So I asked you on today because Well, you caught my attention when you were responding to the some of the drama that happened in the groups. If you don't know what the drama is, Yeah, somebody basically, claimed that whatever. I don't want to go too far into this. They basically faked their death, and it was weird. And then your response kind of got me into it. Well, I have a new response from Carlin, who is Colin's cousin, and I'm afraid to play it.
Right.
Colin.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't.
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
think.
It's so hard to tell if Colin Chandler's actually alive or not. So,
And he's not the one who faked his
have
death.
a little more clarity.
He didn't fake his death, by the way. He's not the one who did, but he had.
Oh, there was somebody else that did that.
I'm just saying, now I have this response from his cousin, and I don't know what to do with this, Mark, because I think it's inappropriate. I feel like Bart might think it's inappropriate. So what do I do here?
I mean, let's just sit on it for a bit, but I kind of think that people should see it. It sheds some new light on things. So
I don't know. All right, we'll see. We'll see if we can. Bart, you really spoke to me in the sense that you were the one that spoke up and kind of like shut it all down when it got serious, and I respect that out of you. So I wanted to talk to you not about that stuff, but your new vest just came in. Is that right?
Right.
Okay. So first of all, just 30 seconds, initial thoughts. You love it. You wish you could change about it. What is the deal?
It is my second one. I moved up from 84 volt vest. Both of them are. They both look identical, but one has the 18650 pack with the. It's got the I think it's the P24 batteries in it, but the new one has the 21700 split pack P42 batteries set up in it with a Thor 300 controller, and it has the high torque Superflux, and it is considerably faster than the other one. The power delivery is a lot more punchy, but it is heavier, and I do notice that little differences here and there, but overall, I love it. If I could change one thing about it, well, that's hard to say because to me, it's just such a well-rounded board that does well. I mean, it gets like 25 to 30 miles per range, so I don't know that I would change anything else about it.
Does it give you that feeling of freedom that I was talking about in the opening, of just being able to fly that you didn't have maybe with an XR or even a GT or an S?
100%. The other board, and Grizz knows because he was there at the 5 hours of Le Mans at Oak City Shredfest, or at the new one that they had. I think I hit like 37 miles an hour on the gravel road out there for long periods of time, between 35 and 37, and that's a speed that I'm just not used to without nosediving, and I'm really good at that. But the just having the ability to maintain a upper 30s to 40 mile an hour on a one wheel just seems insane to me. I mean, it just seems crazy, but I felt completely safe. The nose even dipped down at one point. You can see it in the video that I had Max's camera on. The nose dips down, and you can see me lunge forward, and I just kind of nose drag slightly. It's like an old XR, but then the board just came back up and kept going. It's completely different than riding a Future Motion factory board. It's to me, once you get to this level, and you really want more from the board than the FM boards can give you, which they're fantastic. Don't get me wrong, that we all cut our teeth on them, and I think everybody should before they jump into a DIY board.
Tell me this now. Tell me about your programming and your kind of shaping, if it as it were. Like, I feel like a lot of people go through these evolutions, like, oh man, I've got it so dialed, and then they like try somebody else's board, they feel something else, you keep going back.
Well, we lost him there, but that's a good question with the shaping. Well, how did you do the programming there?
Okay, so I initially had no idea how to use Vest Tool. So I was running on Nico's Fast Flow for a little while, which I liked, but it seemed a little bit underpowered, and the nose seemed to want to stay a little bit higher than I was used to, and the ATR was something that was very unusual, something that I really needed to work with. So I rode around. Then I went to North Carolina and met up with a few guys that were riding, and one of them, I can't remember his name at the moment, but he gave me his tune, which was from an 84 volt vest, which was similarly built to mine on W rails.
Mhm.
And it was so good that was my starting point. And one of the reasons why I liked it so much was because, yes, we can push all this power to the vest. Yes, with the new motors, and even with the hypercore, you can really push, 120, 130 amps pretty consistently to it at my weight, and make a lot of power. I've even ridden it 150, but there comes a point as to where somebody my size cannot control the board at that speed because of our weight, because of our height. So I have to.
What do you weigh?
Board very loosely.
How much do you weigh?
160.
Yeah, me too. Oh, I'm kidding. 150 on a good day. Zoe, have you ridden this thing?
My vest.
Yeah.
You like it?
Yeah, I like it. It's super fun and zippy. I actually like it a lot. It's super
Well, now that we got two.
Well, yeah, you're way later than any of us. Have you felt it? Like, how fast did you take it?
I haven't really taken it for like a speed run like that, but
That's a good thing.
Yeah, the acceleration is, the acceleration can be dialed into whatever you want it to be. But you're only on one wheel, so it's almost like how fast can a unicyclist go without upsetting the balance?
I have one right there.
I've seen you do it.
It goes 55. Bart, would you do that?
No. I probably would.
Dude, it goes 55, and that's only using 80% of its capacity. They save 20% they lock it, so you can't even have it. So you can go 55, but really you could go like 70 if you unlock that. But I don't do it. I don't do it at all. Do we have Christy here? Is she here or no?
She's walking around looking super fancy.
No, you don't have to roll it.
Did you guys? I just wanted to. Hey, by the way, I just wanted to give a shout out to our new favorite Onewheel crew, the Trash Pandas.
What is this?
Nice. Where are they from?
From I believe Toronto and Ontario. Electric Trash Pandas. They sent us these super cool jerseys. Mine is a pandemonium, and hers is poubelle, which means trash can. And
Super cool. Just when you thought there couldn't be another like good one wheel group name, Electric.
So
I didn't know we were wearing trash pan shirts. I don't know where mine is, so
you're fine. We just throw them on for fun. But yeah, one of the things that I notice about high speed on a one wheel is that we're at the mercy of the build. So if you have a extraordinarily good build quality, the top of the line things, you put everything together right, you just don't know. It's electrical. So as you're doing that kind of speed, the likelihood that something could happen at that level, pushing that kind of current, it's inevitable. It may not be the first time, it may not be the 50th time, but something will happen. And when, much like all the other future motion boards, when you start pushing the limits, I'm not sure if it's a good idea to keep making products that can allow us to continue moving further at that kind of speed level.
Have you fallen at that speed?
The fastest I ever went down was at about 33.8 to 34 miles an hour.
Yeah, about 28 for me. Mark, what about you, buddy?
I went down at about 25. I went down about 25 pretty bad, uphill into gravel at practicing for Northwest Electric Fest.
What was the damage for that, Mark?
Pretty decent hole in my hip, a little divot, and the worst was like my thumb meat was gone and punctured down muscle, which ended up in an infection that I didn't find out about for a couple months.
You didn't get all the road rash out.
Yeah, well, I don't even.
That's the worst part.
You know, when you ride these things, you get used to like healing yourself with Tegaderm, but when you go through the subcutaneous fat, you should probably get antibiotics and yeah.
Wow. Bart, what was your damage at the 33 miles an hour?
Actually, it was far less than in my initial video. One was because I was semi properly prepared, helmet, function gloves. So when I went down, the difference was at higher speeds, if you don't hit anything, um, that's the worst. But I ended up going down. I slid on the nose because of the speed I was going. The board traveled with me, so I kind of had the time to move away from the board, slap my pucks down on the ground, and kind of just slide. But it got my knees and my right hip, and a little bit of my elbow. It wasn't a bad wreck at all, but the first one absolutely took off about 40% of my skin.
Oh,
So
that's the worst.
the slower ones tend to rip at your skin. As the faster speeds, you tend to slide more instead of grab and roll. So I always wear protective gear now. That's one of the main things that has saved me in the past.
We're going to give
big
a
shout
Go ahead, Mark.
Big shout out real quick to Function wrist guards. Absolutely the best in my opinion. But I did move. This incident caused me to move away from the what is it, the ripper, because I literally ripped. So now I use the half finger shredders. I might be getting that wrong, but yeah.
We're going to give away $20. Take My Lunch. It's coming up here at some point in this episode. Do not miss it. It will be before 1 p.m., so that's happening. So Gary Peters is going to come on and explain a lot of the words that Bart just talked about, because a lot of it went over my head. Mark is going to help us a little bit with that. But, like, what is the one thing that makes it, like, if I had to beef up one thing in my board to make it safer to go faster, what would that component be? Bart?
If you wanted to, is this just a regular
any
feature?
board? Let's say on Christy's here. Hey, Christy. So on like your Vest board, like on any build, like what is the one thing that needs to be the best quality for it to make your board safest? Like the controller, maybe?
Honestly, when it comes down to that, I really feel like there's not a lot that you can do to the board to make it safer. I think that question really relies on what can you do to make yourself safer. Obviously, good high quality parts are the way to go. Don't really use some cheap Temu shit, whatever it is. Just try Alibaba, whatever. You can get decent stuff, but some of it's not real. So it will work, but it's a fake version of it. So you got to know what you're working with. But safety really on a one wheel pertains to bodily things for me, because you have to trust your one wheel. And if you don't trust your one wheel, you take it little incremental steps at a time, faster and faster, until you find your limit. And when I was at Future Motion, they asked me, why do you always crash our one wheels? Like, why is that something that you do? And I said, well, how else am I supposed to find out the limits of the board? And they're like, well, you wouldn't go out and buy a race car and, go full tilt boogie, would you? And I was like, that's exactly what I would do. And that's exactly what most people do, because they don't realize that there is a limit. They know how fast Future Motion says they go, but clearly we can go faster than that. So keeping
the amount of people in the community
is the best, I think.
Yeah.
And then the builds, whatever you want it to be. You can, if you want to go faster, connect yourself to the board somehow using flight fins or overlanders or any of the other ones.
So right, that's a controversial opinion, but I agree that, like, if you're trying to go faster and be safer, and especially on trails and gnarly trails, then footholds are safer in general.
So
I think some footholds are safer than others, especially in certain situations. There's no end all be all, but yeah, you'd rather not come off a board. You'd rather drag the nose or the tail for a couple seconds and still rip it out, because you have that ability to eject and get out of the board, but you choose not to. And I mean, that can betray you, sure, but better than just.
Christy's just started using footholds for the first time in the 6 years that she's been riding. So what do you feel about that?
Oh yeah, I definitely think that they give you the advantage manage and help you feel confident going a little bit faster, where certain sections where we tend to slow up when we don't have footholds and everything, because we know it's going to bobble us and we got to stay on the board, where you can just like really get into it in certain turns and everything. And, you know, I think it perhaps maybe affected my performance or something, but I can't say that too much, because look at people like Rachel Cecil and Sarah Miko, people who don't use footholds, who are just, you know, faster, you know, and everything. So, but it's definitely helped me, and I definitely like him on the vets as well. I'm really
I think
enjoying.
you touched on another part there too that you know, I think the obvious thing that footholds help us with is right, staying on the board over drops and jumps and things like that. They help us even get a little bit more air, but I think people give it too much credit, especially on a GT. I mean, overlander lifters, it's really hard for me to get much more than that much height without something to bonk on. You know, if I get a bonk, then I'm going to be going a lot higher and just maximizing all the potential I can rip out of it. But the big thing about footholds is deep heel side turns. And when you're in chatter, I mean, you literally just instead of just slipping your heels off and just eating it, you can just keep that board locked in at whatever weird angle.
Yeah, and you can manipulate physics with it, especially with flight fins. Let's say for Zoe, she can't really even ride without flight fins because she's so little, she's so light. When she goes to turn at a normal speed, which would, let's just say she's running at between 15 and 20 miles an hour on the trails or faster, she cannot manipulate the board. Once physics takes over, it's hard for her to roll the edge. So she gets in her flight fins and she just, you see these kids, they almost like dive over. They're leaning way over. And if you take a still shot picture of them, you're like, that is unbelievable how far they roll the board over. But they
they'll even do little rip turns. And I mean, it seems like they're about to drag their rails on the ground.
And I find it to be the same with me. I am so much faster with the ability to manipulate physics. So, you know, any kind of footholds allow you to do that. I find that flight fins allows you to do it the best because of the height of it and where it sits on your foot. So it's sitting slightly over, almost close to the ankle, and you have a lot of movement. You know, I wish they came out a little bit further. I wish you could kind of duck stance out a little bit, and maybe they'll come up with something like that, or a rush. But besides that, yeah, we love them.
Christy, what is it like watching Bart push these things to the limit? I mean, I know, you know, football players don't necessarily love it when their husbands go down or their significant others go down. Like, what is it like watching your boy here do what he does?
It's definitely stressful at times. And, you know, as you mentioned, I overheard him when he was on just a moment ago. He was talking about layering up and wearing the protective gear now versus when he first started riding. So that makes me feel a little bit better. But I can remember when he first got the GT and he's like, said he wasn't going to push it, and then he did have his helmet on and his wrist guards, and he took a nosedive like with the GT that came out. And I remember being just so frustrated, like, why didn't you just put your knee pads
13
on?
miles
or your
in.
hip pads? Like, we had them in the truck. Like, all you had to do is just throw the extra pads on, just because, you know, when he does get injured, you know, who's going to be there to take care of him? You know what I mean? And also, I just don't like to see him in pain. A lot of times I want riding or doing things like that, and when he's injured, you know, when either one of us are injured, you know, we sometimes takes a blow to ourselves, even though like we're not the ones that are injured. It still hurts us, you know.
I wonder if it pushes you, because I've seen your progression go off the charts. It's been awesome to watch you. Like, I haven't been kind of like posting him, but I mean, I still see all you guys riding and stuff. I'm like, damn, Christy, okay, girl, go ahead. So does that. I wonder.
And I gotta say, as someone who was there when you know, you went down pretty hard around our float track that night, and that was a huge setback. And it's awesome to see you come back so hard from that. I mean, I'm sure it was hard, right?
Yeah, absolutely. It's truly hard, but being surrounded by a lot of encouraging people and just, you know, seeing them overcome their injuries and things like that, and also just wanting to encourage people, and even Zoe as well, like looking up and saying, hey, this is something that's dangerous and it's hard, it's challenging. We're going to get injured, but you fall down, you can get back up, and not to be scared of that. And, you know, maybe just be more cautious and learn from that situation, you know, perhaps like that night, like not wearing my gear, going too fast, or, you know, whatever situation. So,
Christy's got the worst injury in the whole family. She's the only one that's ever had to have surgery. She's the only one, well, I can't say she's the only one that's broken a bone, but that was pretty substantial.
Yeah, even Zoe broke her arm, but she didn't have to have surgery on it. But
yeah, that was rough. You were miserable. I felt so bad. But, you know, I got to say another thing, since Bart Miller here teaches a really great fall clinic at some of the events, you know, that he makes it out to, I think a big takeaway too is to just get back on the board as soon as you can, right? Don't let that fear and that association come to like it was the board's fault, because 99% of the time it's our fault. And you just got to get on there and shake that fear off.
No doubt.
Love that point, Bart.
Bart and Christy Miller, we're going to have to let you guys go soon. I do have a video from Carlin. He did leave for you guys. Is it, I don't know. Do we do it or what do we do, Mark? Do we play this or not?
I don't know. I mean, I think it's worth the watch.
I feel like we kind of now have to pay it off
just-
to the audience.
Yeah. Viewer discretion advised. You know, there is some mild gore. So.
All right, so you guys have to be quiet because it's on the same fader. Otherwise, you'll talk over Colin. But excuse me, Carlin. It can't be Colin. For everybody else, just enjoy.
Hello, the voice of Onewheel. Thanks is doing surprisingly well, all things considered. Hello, the voice of Onewheel. Thanks for having me on. For those who don't know me, I'm Carlin. My cousin was Colin. He was, of course, the most popular and influential person in the Onewheel community. And we all suffered great loss with his super rad passing. I know you're feeling that loss because you had to settle for the Millers as your guest. Hi, Christy and Bart, or as Colin liked to call him, Heart Filler. Colin and Bart actually had a lot in common. They both Onewheel, they both had super hot boss babe wives. Colin's wife is doing surprisingly well, all things considered. I've really stepped up to fill in Colin's helmet, if you know what I mean. But you know, that's just the kind of person that I, Carlin, am. I would do the same for Christy if anything happened to Bart. Or hell, even if Bart was perfectly fine. Because being there for each other is what this community is all about. If I see you at an event, you better watch out. Because you're gonna get a big hug. So I heard a rumor that some people didn't think Colin was really dead. That might be why no one has sent a condolence 5-inch hub. So I just want to show off his body to prove it. So I hope that settles it. Anyways, thanks for having me on. Bye.
Oh my God.
He's the best, dude. That
You've
is.
seen it here, first, folks.
Oh, I guess we had to do it. That's for you, Bart and Christy. We love you guys. Thank you for joining us. We'll have you back on again. Okay, I know you got to get out of here.
We love you.
Yes.
Be good. Thank you.
Bye, friends. We'll see you soon.
Bye.
I wish you guys could have all seen. They were laughing through that entire thing, just cracking up. Christy was slapping her knee through it. Oh, they're the best. Well, friends, we've got some saved videos to get to. That was fun. Of course, Bart and Christy Miller are down there in Florida. You can ride with them in Snowboard, Miami. If you want to go and hang out with everybody down in the warm weather, do it. You should do that. It's cold out. You don't want to ride in the cold. Go down to Miami, Florida. Hang out with them the weekend of March 1st. You will absolutely have a blast. Mark, are you going to head down there with them?
You know, I don't think I'm going to be able to make it this year, and I feel terrible about that. I made it 2 years ago, and let me tell you, it is something that, especially if you live in a cold weather area, it is something to look forward to all winter long. You know, when you can't ride, when you're out there freezing your cojones off, think about Stokebird, because it's going to be warm. The views are beautiful. The people are just all super stoked to be there. There's no like stress of racing or anything. It's just an awesome hangout, awesome group rides. Corey Bainey is just one of the best hosts out there.
Chris Richardson, all
Take
those
this
guys.
from the host of another event.
Yep.
Corey Bainey knows what he's doing, and the photos are going to crush it.
Dude, I don't know if anybody knows Belican. That is the Belizean beer. It's like the Belizean Bud Light. And I went to Belize last year in January, and just to get out of the winter and go feel 80 degrees, it's the best way to vacation. Forget going to the beach in the summer, dude. Get out of Dodge in the middle of winter and go down to Stokebird, Miami. You're going to have a blast. You're right. Corey Bainey, just a heck of a dude. All his whole crew down there is going to be awesome. I have a couple saved videos. Why don't I do that while you onboard Gary? Can you see if we can get Gary in here? I think he has the same link, right? So
I will.
Did he ever send
I'll
us
bring Gary in.
videos? He did send us some videos.
Oh, did he? Okay.
He did. All right. So I'm going to text him right now. Why don't, do you have a way of talking to Gary? We should talk that one out. You got him? All right. He's all over it. Dude, Mark's the fucking man, dude. That's why I need somebody in here. So I have saved videos to show you guys. And anytime through the week I see funny stuff or cool things, I'm just like, you know what? That'd be fun to show everybody. So. What is this nonsense? I love it. Dude, they're having so much fun. That's all I want to see. And what I like about this is the crash pad. I need to get myself one of those crash pads, Mark, because, man, I'm afraid. I told you guys, I'm afraid to try new things, but I want to fly. Gary Peters, have you ever flown on your Onewheel?
Yeah, one time or two.
Oh, there he is. Gary, talk to me. What'd you say?
Yeah, I've flown a time or two.
You've flown a time. Now, was it because you bonked? You went off a jump? What is your style of riding, my guy?
I mean, it kind of just depends. If I'm riding street, I ride free foot. If I'm riding on the trails, I like to ride with footholds. So, any rock, any root, anything like that, I mean, I'm bonking it and trying to put as much sauce on it as I can, you know.
Well, dude, with your board, I would do anything. Okay, so Mark translated all of this for me last night because I was just like, Mark, he wrote this out to me and I didn't know what it means. So I want to just read everybody. When I posted that, it was like, okay, how could I have the most expensive board? Can we just have a little quick discussion now that, I mean, I'm so glad that any children are there and listening, but okay. I felt what it was like to be on a micro, if you will, micro day, and then go on my Onewheel. That's all.
Yeah.
I don't know how else to say. That's all I got. And boy,
Bright colors.
bright colors and vibes, man. Wow, life was. I'm not saying you should do it because I can't give you that advice, but
Yeah.
boy, you should do it. Wow. I mean, that
Wow.
was.
Wow, indeed. And you know, I think, you know, you might be surprised to find a lot of people have this experience, and including you know, Onewheel put out a great advertisement when Tyler James joined them full time, and he's got a story where, you know, he went on a magical, you know, journey through the woods with a friend of his, and it changed his life. You know, once you already kind of know how, you know, once you know the basics and you feel like you can be like one with the
Right.
board, this just takes it to a whole new level.
So, Gary, the reason I asked you on here, the reason I put out that post of how can I get the most expensive board and what would it look like is because the day that I did that in a place where it was legal and decriminalized, I actually had my my EUC, and that thing scares me, man. It just scares me. It goes 55, and it's so easy to get that fast if you let it. Dude, it rips, Gary. And I'm always just in the back of my head a little bit afraid of it. Well, that day, on the micro day, all that was gone, and all I was just a part of the board, and I was giggling as I was flying at just 30, 35 miles an hour, but free, and just loving my life. And so I wanted to know, like, how I can get the most powerful board so that I can not have to worry about it. And your answer was the following. 30S 1P lightweight race board with all the bells and whistles. You were asking what a top-of-the-line board looks like? Well, this is it. Tronic Systems X12 controller, 126 volts of bald eagles, custom lighting, built into the house, billet controller housing, steep and deep BTG rails, and a BTG tire, torque box, modified bang bumpers to fit, Overlander owl lifters. You're looking at 4,800. That's your board, bro?
Yes, sir.
Can you take me through this
Killer
thing?
board.
Yeah, like this is it?
Yep, that's it.
Ooh,
Now, how are you gripping to the board? You've got the
owl lifters.
owl
from
lifters.
Overlander.
Thank you, Mark.
Yep.
Mark, you know what? Take this interview away. Take it away.
Oh man. All right.
Well,
Let me see.
Because
Let me see if I can spotlight Gary, and that way we stick with him.
while you do that, I'm gonna show some of the stuff that he sent us because, like, man, Gary,
Oh,
like, I
okay.
don't know what any of that stuff meant. Can you just explain that board and all those pieces to us? What does that do? that like a future motion
Yeah.
board wouldn't do?
Well, I mean, I race Clydesdale, so I'm a little bit bigger on, the weight side of things. I'm 215 pounds on my lightest day. So by the time I got a backpack full of, trail sodas and whatnot, I'm probably 230, 240 with a speaker and things like that. So I
Shout
wanted
out
something that was going to
Clydesdales.
be
Shout
able.
out Trail Sodas. Hmm.
Shout out Clydesdales. Yep, beer balance,
Yep.
patented. But yeah, so I mean, for me, I just wanted something to where I had the most confidence going into any trail whatsoever, and my build beforehand was a 18S 2P with a Cannon core. And I mean, that thing was incredible, but it just didn't have the speed headroom. I started hitting duty cycle, 85, 90% at like 27 miles an hour. So I wanted to look at something that gave me a little bit more speed headroom. So, I'm not really like who can go the fastest kind of guy, because I think we all have our place in Onewheel, and I just like to go ride trails and have fun. But as we start
Awesome.
having fun, we start going faster, and also too, every time you go a little bit faster, things start to get a little sketchier. So it's like, even
Yep.
though like going the fastest wasn't like my goal, I figured if I built something that was capable of it, in theory, it should have the most amount of like safety engineered into it, in a sense. Like, we can only be as smart as the stupid decision we're making in that moment. But if I've got enough power to try and keep my big self up, then in those times where I do give it the beans, then I got the whole chili. So that's where, like,
Yeah.
for me, um I've only gone 36 on it, and that's about the most that I want to go.
30,
awesome.
36? Is that what you said?
There's a
Yeah,
strange like
36.
phenomenon where there's wind noise. Like, I tell everybody, like, if you've ever ridden in a boat and gone 30, 40 miles an hour in a boat, you hear this right past your ears, and if you turn your head sideways, the wind noise completely changes, and that's like something that was kind of foreign to me, riding a GTS and things like that. Like, I've never had 35-mile-an-hour wind noise in my ears, and I think Jeff even kind of talks about it when they were kind of chasing, some top speed and things like that. So I had a test pilot hop on it, and they hit 44 miles an hour. But I
Whoa.
mean, they're 130
Woo.
pounds, so it's a little skinny mini.
Oh,
Jesus.
so you
But
guys didn't do a prove it video and show up Nico?
no, it's at this point, with Riley Johnson hitting 50 miles an hour, man. I mean, that's
Oh,
uh that's a tall order, So
yeah.
I
Did
mean,
that
Tall
happen?
order.
That happened?
100%.
Right.
Yep. Cue up the video. Click the link. No, I'm just kidding. But it's definitely, it exists. It's out there. If you go look up Riley Johnson, world's fastest one wheel, I'm pretty sure it'll pop up. But yeah, he hit 50 miles an hour on pretty much the exact same build as what this is. As far as I understand, I don't know, for sure. I do know that this runs a Superflux high torque. Obviously, for
Yeah.
me being a bigger guy, I'm looking for a little bit more torque, not necessarily speed. But having extra voltage, you kind of complement the two to where it's like you get extra torque, but have a little bit extra headroom for capabilities of, higher speeds.
Boys, we
So,
got that video. I got
um,
you. 10 seconds. Here you go. Let's go.
Oh, wow. Insane.
Oh my God. Oh my. 50?
yeah.
And that's a Val, right? Is that a Val
No,
build?
I believe that's his build. It's a 30S 1P. I do know that he has
Oh.
a Superflux high speed with the big 12x8 Burris. So it's a little bit chonkier tire, got a little bit more diameter to kind of help get a little bit of extra speed.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, still, nonetheless, whatever caveat you put on it, if 50 miles an hour on a one wheel, I mean, you got to have a wheelbarrow to walk around with those things all week. You know what I mean? Because that just takes a set. So,
Takes a big old set. It
yeah.
indeed does. Now, like, I just want to say out there to people who don't, follow the community and follow the events and the races, but Clydesdales are where to look when it comes to building great boards, in my opinion. And it's been that way for years. When I jumped into the 2023 racing season, I looked to dudes like Luke Austin, like Chris Ferret, and like the way they were building boards back then. When the GT had just came out, they're still slapping, put those dubs on as soon as they came out. You've got that billet hub when it came out.
Yep.
You've got some serious boards and overlander lifters, especially the OGs. Like, right,
Yeah,
I'm a tall guy. I'm 6'4" and about a buck 90, so I'm not Clydesdale, but I'm tall, I have a higher center of gravity. I have to, I have to get low. I have to stay way bent, but I need a board that's powerful and has, I prefer torque over speed myself. So yeah, you just got to have extra left over to get you through those crazy events and those times where you just need to hold on and
For
and
sure.
rip through it.
Shout out Chris Ferret. He was the first to get me on overlanders as well. And I mean, there's the big debate on what is better, what is that, I think at the end of the day, it's go out and ride, go have fun. But also too, it's like what I I have fun on playing Grand Theft Auto as a purist, but every now and then you want those cheat codes just because it's easier and it kind of does make it more fun, And it's like you could play without the cheat codes, but every now and then, like, why not? And so there's like certain trails that are more fun, more fun without footholds. But then, I've been running a lot of segments with Hermes, and so being that there was kind of the uh, foothold debate, I said, heck, I'm going to try and take my footholds off and go run all the same trails and see what edge it's really given me. And on average, I was about 7 to 10 seconds slower on any given trail without footholds. Now, that
Wow.
being said, I got that in my head, and so I started like telling myself like I could be faster. If I'm faster with footholds, why can't I be faster without? And so I really started chasing that without footholds, kind of all the way leading up to dirt surfers this last year. And I ended up, actually beating my times. And then my overlanders came in actually in Arkansas while I was at Dirt Surfers. And
Oh, sick.
so I was able to come back from Dirt Surfers, run all the exact same trails, with having the training in between and then putting the footholds back on. And I actually blew all my times out of the water by about 20 seconds. So it was like I feel like it was this progression that kind of helped itself, like train with the worst possible environment to kind of prepare yourself for those other times. And I feel like it definitely helped me quite a bit with this last year's racing season. But yeah, I mean, for me
Yeah.
on the trails, being able to stick on the board and having that confidence of picking a line and being able to grease it every time, maybe not every time, but in my head, the overlanders, they definitely help. So
I think you touched on one last point there though, that like I think it's important to drop the lifters every once in a while and make
yeah.
sure you still have the skill to get
Yep.
around, make sure you can still bonk and curb nudge and you like,
Yep.
because knowing the basics just helps you so much more with lifters. But, at the same time, I'm not saying everybody needs to ride with them. They're not for everybody. But
No,
I
and I
do
mean,
think
I've got
a lot of people are scared of the ejection from them, and it's really not as bad as you
Well,
think.
here's the thing, guys. I ride around on a much powerful board. Now, I have a one wheel too. I have a GT, but I only use that for utility, like going to the store, having fun, making errands more fun, running my dog, that kind of thing. I'm waiting to get a more powerful one like you're talking about. But when I ride a more powerful wheel, they have these foot pads that basically keep you locked into the board, and it's almost like dangerous to ride it without them. And you just made something trigger in my head, like, should I be riding a one wheel without some sort of foothold? Is it irresponsible to at this point?
No, I mean, okay, so even all my boards that don't have footholds, I prefer gripples on all my boards. And the gripples
Yes,
kind of just help
100%.
lock into your feet, and they might not give you that like pressure from the top of your foot to where you get that lift, but they give you an extra little plant, so your feet kind of feel locked in without feeling caged in. And
I got some
exactly,
gripples right here on
there you
my
go.
Oh,
XR
wow.
Classic.
Okay.
Yeah. So, right. These help with activation. And they also just, yeah, they kind of keep your feet stuck until you want to move them, no matter what grip you have. I mean, I haven't put foam grip on this thing. I've hardly done anything to my XR Classic.
Wow.
But
Is that an adhesive that you use to stick it to the board?
yeah,
Yeah,
it's
it's just
VHB,
3M
Oh,
VHB,
wow. No
and the
kidding.
very
board
high
does have
bond.
Okay.
those gripples, and they come all with the adhesive and everything already on them. But
Oof.
to kind of go back to your question, I think you should ride a one wheel in situations that make you happy, and put a smile on your face. So, I mean, like I said, I've got 8 different boards at any given time. So I've got ones with footholds, ones without, street boards, trail boards. All my trail boards have footholds on them just because I enjoy it more. But like my little growler that I've got that I rip around on the street, that doesn't have any footholds on it. Now I've put footholds on it and I've had fun, but just on the street doing, little curb nudges and things like that is kind of like a purist kind of thing. And like I grew up riding dirt bikes. So I tell everybody like the trail board is essentially like it's your 450. Yeah, you could go hit 90-foot triples and you could go as fast as you want, but you go hop on a pit bike and you have like one small little jump and you could have more fun on a
Right.
pit bike in one little circle
Right.
hitting
Yeah.
that jump with 3 of your buddies
Right.
than you'd have all day at the track on your 450. And yeah, you could go faster, you could go higher, you could do all these things, but again, it's like what fun are you getting out of the ride? So I think to answer
I
your
agree.
question,
Right. It's like a.
you
It's like a.
should be able to do kind of both, but I encourage anybody who is on that train of like, oh, I'm not a footholds guy, just try it out. I've kind of converted a few riders, and like seeing their progression too is just awesome. Like D Montez, I mean, absolutely incredible rider. He was a force to be reckoned with without footholds. I finally, me and Chris Ferret been in his ear for a year, and finally, he gave in, and just even, we went up to China Peak for the day, and I told him, hey, let's do the first runs down the mountain, no footholds. Then we'll come back, we'll put the footholds on, we'll go back and run all the same trails. And we were running Hermes, so he was able to see his times. And so it's a tangible like, oh, this does make me faster. It's not just I think I ride better,
Hey Gary. Hey,
So
hey
it's
Gary.
just that confidence.
Hey Gary. I know what Hermes means, but do you think you could tell Mark what Hermes means?
As far as like the what is it, Greek meaning, or are you talking about like
You're saying you're running Hermes. I have no idea what you're talking about.
Oh, okay. My apologies. So it's like Strava with mountain bikes. It's a point-to-point GPS time trials essentially that you do off of your phone.
Oh, okay.
So you can go out, and at any point in time you could show up at China Peak and you can race me and D. Even though we're not there, we're not on the mountain.
I love
It's
that.
the equivalent of like the segments feature inside of the Onewheel app. So it's very similar to that. So if you hear anybody talk about running Hermes segments or anything like that, that's what they're referring to. My apologies.
No, Mark, did you know
And
that?
beyond that, Hermes is, just to make sure that's clear, but Hermes is one wheel specific.
Yes,
So
it is.
it's created for riders by a rider, and yeah, it's
Wow.
it's really good.
I'm learning
It's come a long way,
Dude,
and now it's part of racing circuits all around the country.
I'm
Yep,
learning.
and that's where like the underground finals and things like that kind of come into play, is because we're racing kind of all of these times, in different places all over. Anywhere you go ride, you can look at the maps and kind of zoom in and see like, oh, okay, there's a segment here, there's a segment here. And so even if you drop into an area you're not familiar with, you can go look on Hermes and see like where local riders have put, some trails down, and then you can go, race their times. Which, don't go full out your first time going and running a random trail, but get a couple sight laps in, take
Yeah.
3 boards with you, and then once you kill a board, come back and go back for the gusto.
Mark, where am I finding that app? Where do I get that?
Where are you finding that? Ride Hermes. I believe it's an Apple app. Is it in
It should be in
the
both.
Android?
It should be in both app
Both
stores.
stores?
I
Okay.
use it on Android myself, so yeah, it was in just the Play Store.
Hell yeah. Dude, you have been fantastic. This is your first time doing anything like this, and I swear you're coming back because you've been great.
Oh, bring me back on whenever.
Let's go. Ladies and gentlemen,
Yeah, man.
it
Thanks,
is Gary Peters. Thank you,
Yeah,
buddy.
if anybody does see this, I'll give a shameless plug for all the Clydesdales out there. I am doing custom Clydesdales jerseys this year. So me and Cash from the Float Life, we're gonna try. We got a nice little logo set up for us big horses, because I'd like to get us, since we haven't gotten to Race for the Rail yet, which will happen. This is
Fingers
kind of,
crossed.
we've got a way to kind of represent ourselves and kind of brand ourselves this year. So I decided this year to kind of take a year off from ORL. I've raced ORL the last 3 years, with the hopes of going to Race for the Rail, which hasn't happened, like I said, yet, but the campaign is still going on. But this year I'm going to focus on the Dirt Surfers series, which I'm real excited about. I've never been to Windman. I've rode Turkey Mountain, and it was absolutely amazing. So I can't wait to go back and actually do some sort of racing there. But yeah, I'm looking forward to Dirt Surfers. I'll probably hit Seek and Shred since it's right here in my neck of the woods, and then Let It Ride's coming up. So those will be the 5 events that I'm hitting this year. But yeah, Clydesdales, if you want a jersey, shoot me a message and we'll get one to you.
Dude, you are the man. Ladies and gentlemen, he is Gary Peters. Thank you again, buddy. We'll do this again sometime whenever you want. In fact, you've got a standing invitation. All right?
Right on. Yeah, let me know when the next show is.
Hell yeah. Thursday at noon, buddy, every week. We'll see you then.
Right on.
That's
You guys have a good one.
Thanks, Gary.
Later,
You
buddy.
too, man.
That was awesome. I'm learning a fuck ton on today's show. I hope you are too. That's the whole point of this. And we want to have fun with you all the way up until the 1 o'clock hour. So just get ready, because coming up, we've got Deep Thoughts with my boy Grizz over here. You all were so helpful in coming up with some of the most abstract, wildest, and craziest thoughts you've ever had while riding on your one wheel. And Mark, we kind of got into that because of that whole theme of today, which is like meditation on a one wheel. However you get there, whether it's fun little things that grow in the ground or just the flow state that comes along with riding naturally, which absolutely happens. It puts me in a place where everything else melts away. And that's why we're doing this show again. I wanted to just thank everybody for coming in here while we took 2 years off. Look, the Voice of Onewheel started like 6 years ago. We did 4 years of shows and went through a lot with building this community and helping just be kind of like a center point where everybody kind of came to One Wheel Church every week. And we had so much fun just being a part of that. And then when it went away, I just felt like a piece of me was missing. And I had to ask myself, like, what makes me happy? Because like Mark, as a kid, it's so easy to be happy. You know, your birthday, Christmas, what's something that makes you happy as an adult? It's a little harder to find. Oh, I can't hear you. Mark, you're down. Buddy, you're muted. That's all right. Get those ears back. He's coming. He's coming. No, nothing yet. That's okay. I'm going to hold it down. You're muted. I don't know what it is. But I was saying that that's going to be a problem for Deep Thoughts with Grizz. You get yourself situated over there. There you go. You're back. You're back. No, you're back. Oh, no. We're just talking through the phone? No. Zoom's down. This is bad. We did it for 53 minutes, though. We did pretty good. Mark, you just hang out there. Keep working on that. I'm going to finish that thought because what ended up happening, in fact, Mark, no, don't leave it because you'll leave the Zoom. You're the host. Yeah, your Zoom's up.
Because it's showing that I'm sending audio to Zoom.
No, that was me. I had the wrong fader up. You're back. Hi, buddy.
Okay.
Sorry. So, yeah, as a kid, what's something that, like, as an adult now, what's something that makes you happy? Because it's hard to find that stuff in adult happiness.
Yeah, I know. Like, I think what makes me the happiest is hanging out with my friends, like goofing off, just like I did when I was a kid, when it was just like, let's go out and ride bikes. You know, oh, you want to come over and play? Like,
dude,
just like, when do we just like be like, you want to come over and just like chill?
I have
like,
nobody to
friends,
throw a football
right?
with. I found a football the other day and I was like, wow, I haven't thrown a football in a fucking decade because I can't just call my neighbor and be like, yeah, you want to go throw?
Yeah. Yeah. You know, I think a lot of us, you know, we get older and it's hard to like find community outside of like church, you know, the workplace, outside of, you know, school and things like that. So then, you know, you maybe like, you just develop like drinking buddies who aren't kind of like ride or die, you know, they seem like they are, but you get this board, you know, you get on a PEV, but really the biggest communities are around One Wheel, EUC, even E-motos and stuff have a kind
dude,
of
I had
scene.
I had a fucking Can-Am trike. You know those one in the back and two in the front things?
Yeah, the
right?
spider type thing.
Yeah. Dude, I had one of those. I've ridden 1 wheel, 2 wheels, 3 wheels, 4 wheels, and even that had a community behind it.
Right. You're right. I mean, PEVs are great. You know, you just like, you find kind of the kids you want to like call up on the walkie-talkie and go like ride and hang out with, right? You go exploring your city. You go do death-defying stunts.
We don't have that as adults anymore.
Yeah. And right. It's like, you know, you learn how to get good at falling again.
Right.
And it's like, you know, some people complain all year about a fall they had. And
dude,
like,
do you ever giggle when you fall because it was fun just to feel it again, like a kid?
Right. Right, and I giggle because like I am big on celebrating falls.
Yeah,
Like,
I
right,
made
like
it.
when they go well, and you're like, "Holy crap, I got away with that!" Like, yeah, you
1000%,
just,
dude.
and that's a
1000%.
feling. Like, I wish more people had all these things. I
So
mean, it's a
the reason
hobby, community, sport, all those fun things.
couldn't have segued better. The reason that I bring all this up is to say that this was the best time of my life because it brought me all of that. It gave me the ability to ride. It gave me community. It gave me a sense of purpose. And I didn't realize how much I missed this show until I started tuning back into Facebook and just kind of like just peeking. What's everybody doing again? Oh, look at that. Same kind of drama always popping off. Oh, look at that. Somebody's bullshitting doing some stupid shit. Oh, how about that? Oh, look at that. There's another festival. Oh, look at that. How many people are joining this time? And now I've got one of the founders of the Oak City Shred Fest here joining me each week. Like, I couldn't be happier. And I think we're gonna have some fun.
I do
here.
have to say, not founder.
I know.
Not founder.
I went on a limb for that. But what
Yeah,
is your actual
yeah.
title?
I am the director of hospitality, and yeah, I came into Oak City Onewheel a few years after it was kind of already up and going. But I came to the first Oak City Shred Fest, but I really didn't know the group that much. But then got to know the group, went to the second Shred Fest, and then just was all in with helping for the next ones and riding with the group as much as possible. And I've just made all these awesome.
Well, dude, if you're the
So I
good
don't
vibe,
want to take credit as a founder. I'm not one of the OGs. We still have a few of those riding with us. Yeah.
if you're the good vibes officer, I'm sure it's a blast, and I can't wait to get down there eventually. So we've got about a minute and a half, 2 minutes left. So go ahead and pick your best two, and then we'll save a couple of them for next week. We've got Deep Thoughts with Grizz coming up here, my friends, because we talked about it on Facebook, and we asked you all, hey, what's one of the weirdest thoughts you ever had? You know, when you're in that flow state, what's something random that you came up with? So you guys came strong, and we really appreciate when you do that because it makes this show more fun. So thank you to everybody in the social media lounge, everybody who's watching live. I know we didn't really talk to you a lot today. We're still hammering out some of the kinks, but believe me, your prize is coming up next in a minute and 90 seconds. You got a chance to take my lunch money, $20 coming to you just for playing a game. So be ready. That's coming up. But first, Deep Thoughts.
Okay. Deep Thoughts with Grizz. So, you know, we've already touched on a few, but I really just want to hammer on that meditation, right? That's a common thread amongst multiple ones here. Is somewhere between meditation and between just kind of that, you know, all your brain has room for is just reading, right? Is the someone said bump, curb, drop, carve, you know, is all you really have space for sometimes is just that, you know, exactly what's happening in the moment. I think that's one of the fantastic things about devices like this. You know, another thing that I wanted to touch on here is somebody said, "Is it worth it?"
That was the thought that they had. Is it worth it?
Is it worth it? You know, kind of like if you're riding along and you're like, "Is this worth it?" And I think to me that sounds like somebody who I don't know you. This is Jonathan Wells, but like that's a mindset I may have had a couple times early on, especially like around times where I hurt myself. But it's when it all becomes second nature. There's no feeling like it in the world, and I just want to do that all the time, right? Like I when people ask me how much a Onewheel costs, I know I saw this quote a long time ago, but I say more than you'd think, but way less than it costs. Hold on, let me backtrack. It costs more than you think, but it's worth way more than it costs. That's what I think.
And that is Deep Thoughts with your boy, Mark Rizzo. Thank you, sir. Well done.
Thank you.
So I have this game show that's ready to play with everybody, but it's not working out real great. So, Mark, do you have one more that you could stall while I do this for real quick? Give him one more.
For sure. This one ties back to kind of the conversation earlier about magical, fun rides and things. someone says, which I cannot read your name. It is in weird fonts.
Oh, don't read that one from China.
Okay, no, okay.
I'm calling
No.
him China. I don't care. If you're going to write yourself in characters, then that's what you're getting.
All right. Okay. All right. It's just the theory that when you're on your board, the world revolves around you, and it's a fun thought.
Dude, read it. No, I'm making fun of this person because I actually love this person and what they wrote. Read. I fixed the game. You're getting your $20, everyone. But just read what this person wrote word for word.
Okay, this person writes, instead of the Onewheel being a device that moves through time and space, what if it's actually a device that remains motionless but causes time and space to move around it?
Now there's your deep thought. Oh my God. All right, you got to get into the social media lounge because I need you to be able to see who gives the answers. So friends, family, It is time. Let's do this thing.
All right.
I am going to
report that we have 6 watching right now.
There you go. That sounds good. So 6 people got a chance. They made it all the way to the end. It's hard to get people to watch for an hour. So thank you guys for your attention.
Yeah.
I really do appreciate it. We are going to basically play Name That State. All you have to do is type in the correct state. First person to do it, $20 Venmoed to you right now. All right. So can you see the chat as it's coming through, Mark? You can see it?
Yes, I can.
All right. So hopefully your geography is better than me because I'm not going to have a clue if it's right or wrong until afterwards. But let's just see what happens. So,
see what happens.
Friends and family, here is the map. Tell me what state in the chat is this. Oh, that's a tough one. That's one of those middle ones. I got no idea. It's the chef's nose. Mark, do you know it?
Totally.
You're not so sure, are you, buddy? I am gonna. I gotta guess. Has anybody guessed yet?
Why is it gotta be that one?
What are the guesses coming in?
I'm not seeing any guesses come in yet.
We're probably on a little bit of a delay as well. What is going on?
Someone from the UK said they're gonna guess North Carolina. That is incorrect.
That is not North Carolina.
I would know. I'm in North Carolina.
But good guess, and thank you for watching from the UK. What else is popping off in the social media lounge? Have they said anything throughout the show? Any comments?
I've heard we've got 2 guesses of Iowa and Illinois. So let's. I think we've got enough.
I'm pretty sure it's one of those 2. It sounds like one of those I states.
Right. And I feel terrible.
All right, 3, 2, 1. It's Iowa. Who was the first one?
Iowa. We get this, guys, the float life. The float life
Jeff
has gotten on.
Jeff?
I don't know who's on the float life chat right now. It's like Jeff. Oh my God.
They're ringers. They just put the high school students on there and get all this right. That's not fair.
Well,
all right.
Called out Mandy for missing it when.
That's amazing. So we're sending $20 to the float life for lunch. All right, I'm down. Let's buy him a pizza.
That's Badger. Badger can buy some kombucha with that.
That was good times, man. All right, that's it. Here comes the tunes, buddy. You did an awesome job. In fact, before the tunes come, round of applause for our executive producer, Mark. Grizz, you did great, bud. How'd you feel about your first show?
Too kind. I think this went really well. I mean, despite weird little technical things going on in the background.
Adam not figuring out the fader.
It's just going to get better from here.
Oh, yeah. Dude, all day, every day. I want to thank you all for joining us. Mark did an awesome job. Thanks again to Gary Peters. Thanks again to Bart and Christy. Thanks to Carlin, because he did an awesome job sending that video in. But you know what? That's the end of that joke, because we don't want to beat a dead horse. So we had a blast with all of you. We'll do this again on Thursday next week, noon Eastern, right here on the Big Boy Toys Onewheel channel. My name's Luch. It's been an absolute pleasure. We'll see y'all later. Peace!